I slept in my car and made $405,000 in 1 year using real estate I don't own and without using my own hard earned cash. It sounds just unbelievable, right? But it's true. And I'm going to break down exactly how I did it step by step so you can see how this can be possible for you too. Let's go back to the beginning. Right after high school, I was lost. I didn't have any real direction, no family business to fall back on, and college just wasn't an option for me. So, like many young men looking for a way out, I joined the military, the Navy to be exact. I thought it would be my ticket to a stable life, a way to escape the chaos I grew up in, and maybe even find some adventure, but reality had a much different plan for me. I got assigned to my first duty station, a ship based out of San Diego, California, and at first I thought it was pretty cool, right? I was in a beautiful city, surrounded by the ocean, and I felt like I was just part of something bigger than myself. But then I saw where I was going to live. It was just a tiny 2-foot wide bed called a rack in a room with about 100 other guys. And this wasn't just my bed. It was my closet, my personal space, and my entire living area, all in one. It was cramped and it was uncomfortable, and it smelled like a mix of sweat, dirty laundry, and despair. The air was stale, and the sound of other men snoring, groaning, and living their lives just inches away from me was constant and just disgusting, actually. That's when I made a decision I couldn't stay in that room another night. I started sleeping in my truck, a 2006 Chevy Silverado, and it wasn't luxurious by any means, but it was mine. It smelled better, it was roomier, and most importantly, it was my own space where I could find and just finally get something better and more peace and quiet. But even then, things just weren't easy. I was working 80 to 90 hours a week, and after all of that, I was only making about $500. I don't know if you've ever tried to live $500 a week in San Diego, but it's not exactly a recipe for success. After paying for food, gas, and occasional night out to keep my sanity, there was hardly anything left. I was living paycheck to paycheck, barely scraping by, and I knew something had to change. I started looking for other ways to make extra money. I knew I couldn't do this forever, and I definitely didn't want to end up like some of the guys I saw around me stuck in the military for 20 years because they had no other option. So I dove into the world of side hustles and entrepreneurship. I tried everything. I got into crypto thinking I'd strike it rich overnight. I tried day trading stocks, and only to watch my money and savings just disappear faster than I could ever earn it. I tried my hand at e-com, Amazon FBA, but I ended up with a garage full of unsold products. I even tried wholesaling real estate thinking I could make some quick cash flipping contracts. And let's not forget window tinting. Yes, I even tried that. I would work on the weekends tinting windows, and sometimes I'd make a little money, but it was nothing substantial or anything to get me out of my situation. Each failure hit me extremely hard, and I remember one day I had just lost a few $1,000s in the stock market, money I couldn't afford to lose. I was sitting in my truck exhausted, looking at my empty bank account, and I just broke down. I felt like a complete failure. I had no degree, no family connections, no backup plan, and all I could think was, what the hell am I going to do? To understand why this hit me so hard, you have to know a little bit more about my personal background. I didn't come from money by any means. My parents separated when I was very young, and we moved around a lot because of that. And at one point, we were living with my mom's boyfriend, who was a drug dealer. And I still remember the nights I'd hear shady characters coming in and out of the house, and the constant fear that something terrible was going to happen. Eventually, I ended up in foster care for a while, just trying to find some stability. Neither of my parents or anyone in my family, for that matter, were entrepreneurs. The idea of starting a business or building something of my own was as foreign to me as rocket science. And I didn't have a college degree. I barely made it through high school, not because it was hard, but just because I hated it. I was the kid that teachers didn't expect much from, the one people looked at and thought, he'll never make it. Statistically, I was supposed to fail, and I shouldn't have been at the place I'm at now, but there was something inside me that just wouldn't let me accept that fate. I was determined to break the cycle and create a better life for myself, no matter what it took. And after all the failed attempts, I stumbled across something that could change everything for me. This was rental arbitrage. And at first, I didn't even know what it was. I was scrolling through YouTube looking for more side hustle ideas when I came across a video of someone talking about how they were just making tons and just thousands of dollars a month from renting properties they didn't own. I was skeptical, but I also was desperate. So I started researching. Rental arbitrage is a business model where you rent properties from landlords, and with the landlord's permission, you then rent out the property on a short-term basis through platforms like Airbnb or Vrbo, or just rent out to traveling nurses or families or business professionals for a higher price. And in simple terms, you pay the landlord a fixed monthly rent, and then you sublet the property to short-term guests at a higher rate. The difference between what you pay in rent and what you earn from the guest is your profit. And to me, and probably to you too right now, it sounded too good to be true. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized that it was not only possible, but people were actually doing this and making a killing. I thought, what do I have to lose? I'm already at rock bottom. I started with what I had, a small amount of savings and a whole lot of determination. I looked for a landlord or just landlords who were open to the idea. And believe me, it was not easy by any means. Most of them thought I was crazy, and they would say, why would I let you rent my property just to turn around and rent it again? Was the most common response that I got. But I didn't give up. I kept pitching, kept refining my approach, and finally I found a landlord who was willing to give it a shot. I explained that I'd be taking care of everything, like cleaning, maintenance, guest communication, and that he would just get his rent on time every single month, guaranteed, no questions about it. No hassle, no risk for him, and he agreed, and I got my first property. I set up my first property on Airbnb, and within days, I got my first booking, then another and another. I couldn't believe it. I was making more money from that one property than I was from my Navy paycheck, or both paychecks, in the whole month. That's when I knew I was on to something big. I reinvested every single dollar I made back into the business. I saved up enough to get my second property, then my third. Each one was a new challenge, negotiating with landlords, furnishing the space, dealing with guest issues, but I was relentless. By the end of the year, I had 6 properties under management, each one generating 2 to 4 times the rent I was paying in profit. And in that first year, I made $405,000 in revenue. That's more money than I had ever imagined making in my whole life. And the best part, I did it all without owning any real estate. And once I started scaling, I did it all without using any of my hard-earned cash, using 0% interest business credit. So here's why rental arbitrage works so well, and why it's better than traditional real estate investing, especially if you're just starting out. You don't need to put 20% down on a property, which means you don't need tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started. All you need is enough to cover the first month's rent and security deposit and the cost of furnishing the property. And if you have decent credit, you don't even have to do that. You can use it all using 0% interest business credit card. Traditional real estate might net you a few $100 a month in profit if you're lucky. With rental arbitrage, you can make thousands. One of my properties, for example, cost me $2,000 a month to rent, but it makes me $8,000 a month from guests. That's $6,000 in profit from just one property. You can scale this business much faster than traditional real estate because you're not tied up with a massive down payment and mortgage approvals. I went from 1 to 6 properties in less than a year, and you can operate this business from anywhere. I've managed properties while deployed overseas, all from my laptop and my phone. It gives you freedom and just control over your life, which is why I started in the first place. Now, I know some of you are probably skeptical, as you should be, and you might be thinking, is this even legal? Yes, it is. You're just gonna need to make sure you have the landlord's permission and that the property is zoned for short-term rentals. Do your research and get everything in writing, and you'll be good to go. Next question I get a lot is, why would a landlord let you do this? Most landlords don't want to deal with the hassle of short-term rentals. They don't want to handle guest communication, cleaning, or maintenance. They just want consistent, reliable rent. That's where you come in. And they get their rent guaranteed, and you take on all that work. Next question that's super common is, why wouldn't the landlord just do it themselves if they already have the property? because it's a lot of work and most landlords don't have the time, knowledge, or desire to manage short-term rentals. Plus, not everyone has the entrepreneurial spirit to take on something new or start a new business. Most of them just want their mortgage paid. Another common, super common question is, how does this even make money? It's all about the margin between what you pay in rent and what you earn from guests. You're essentially running a hospitality business. If you can market the property well, provide a great guest experience, and keep your occupancy rates high, the profits can be extremely substantial, to where I'm making $150,000 a month, and I have people that I've taught making $60,000 a month, up to $60,000 a month. And after managing several properties and seeing the cash pour in, I realized something, and that I was onto a business model that could change my life forever. I was no longer struggling to make ends meet. I was no longer dependent on a paycheck, and I had built something that was generating wealth and giving me the freedom I had always wanted and was chasing. But I also knew that I was just scratching the surface. I started looking at how I could optimize my operations, automating processes, and scale even further. I hired a virtual assistant to handle guest communications and cleaning coordination. I implemented dynamic pricing and everything that I needed to maximize occupancy while maximizing revenue. I networked with other entrepreneurs in the space to learn from their successes and mistakes and combine it with my own to learn and further myself even more. And today, like I said, I'm making $150,000 a month from my rental arbitrage business. I've built a system that works, and I've scaled it beyond what I ever thought possible. And the best part, I'm not the only one. I've started teaching this business model to others, helping them achieve the same kind of financial and time freedom that I have personally found. I've seen single moms, college students, 9-to-5 workers, and even military people all transform their lives with rental arbitrage. This isn't just a business for me anymore, it's a mission. I want to help as many people as possible escape the rat race and build something that gives them control over their own time and their own lives. Look, I'm not special. I'm not a genius. I didn't have any connections or a pile of money to start with. I'm just a regular guy who was desperate enough to try something new and stubborn enough to not give up when things got really hard and tough. And if I can do this, literally anyone can. The first step is the hardest, but it's once you take it, everything changes. If you're ready to take control of your life, if you're tired of struggling, if you want to build something that gives you freedom and financial security, rental arbitrage might be the answer you've been looking for. And if you're interested in learning more, I've put together a program completely free. Before you click off, I'm like, oh, this guy's selling a paid course or program. So it's completely free. It's called B&B Syndicate, where I break down everything I know about this business. I cover everything from how to find and negotiate with landlords to setting up your properties to marketing and managing, and then how to set up your pricing for maximum profit. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme by any means. It's a real business, and like any business, it takes work, dedication, and the right knowledge. But if you're willing to put in the effort, the rewards can be extremely life-changing. So if you're ready to take the first step, click the link down below in my description. I'm sharing everything for free that I've learned to help you get started and succeed. Don't waste any more time. You've already beaten the odds just by being here. Now it's time to beat them again and create the life you've always wanted for. Your future is worth it. Talk to you soon, guys. Drop a like and subscribe. See y'all soon. Peace.